Yo, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. What's going on? Definitely have a particular, have a very interesting conversation today as we get into some scripture and we look at some recent events that just took place. Can everybody hear me fine? If not, I think Facebook may be kind of acting up a little bit. I may have to start over or whatnot. Can everybody hear me good? Am I clear? Is it glitching? Is it going in and out? Does everything look good? Clear? I just want to make sure before we proceed. All right, just be patient with me here before we start. And just sending out some invitations and whatnot. So we're going to look at it and go from there. Again, thank everybody for tuning in. And whatnot as we go into some recent events that just happened. Actually, I want to say, I guess yesterday for us, early this morning or whatnot. It just happened in Manchester. And so let us begin to look at some things here so we can get a proper understanding, a proper perspective of what's happening. Okay. Again, we have a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different conversation out here, a lot of mix up, a lot of things. All right, a lot of things is going on out here that we need to look at. A lot of people saying a lot of different stuff, and so we definitely want to look at this so that we can get a understanding and a perspective that we can all walk away with and whatnot. So we're going to look at this seriously and break this down because of course, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a question regarding Esau and Ishmael. And I think one of our other brothers, Daquan, put up one with Esau and Ishmael. And, a lot of brothers got a lot of different views. Some sisters got some views, when it comes down to Esau and Ishmael. And now the new thing is, or recently, is that Esau is the Arab and different things of that nature. So we want to look at this, man, and really get an understanding. Somebody said they can't hear. Okay, I hear now. Thank you. All right. Yeah, we definitely want to get a full understanding of really what's going on as we look at this thing and get a full view perspective. We just had something going down in Manchester. If you, unless you've been asleep or, working overnight and haven't heard it, don't have a cell phone, it's all over the news about Manchester. And so I want to definitely look at this, man. This is a great opportunity. One thing about me, those who've been following, I just don't really jump. I really don't jump the gun on a lot of things, like just automatically respond. I like to check out other perspectives, see what other people are saying. And then I go into the bat cave and, do my research, like the same way, those of you who are new. The same way I did as an athlete, I love to break down film and break down conversation and break down scripture, break down information. And then I sit for a while and I sit back and I just don't jump the gun. I sit back and, like yesterday I put up a post, about Genesis chapter 5. I'm just patient. I'm not going to be so rushed to deal with things. I let the Most High God deal with me. Sometimes it may be a week. Sometimes it may be 2 weeks. And I may be riding down the road and the Most High just speaks something to me, give me a understanding of something. and then I go ahead on and present it and wait for him to give me the okay to go ahead on and just really deal with it. So I just sitting back. I haven't dealt with this whole thing about, this new teaching that Esau is the Arab and all this stuff. I've been hearing a whole lot of people talking. I've been hearing a whole lot of people saying that Esau is the white man and all these different thoughts, like Esau, like we just seem to forget that Esau mixed with a whole lot of different nations and things of that nature. But we just want to pin him down with this being the white man, all because we have some personal perspectives or personal preferences and all that. And we tend to forget that Rebecca and Isaac were melanated people. And yet we seem to forget that into thinking that, that they just had two kids and one of them was white and one of them was black. I mean, we got to really come with objective scholarship and leave your personal perspectives on the table and at the door. Now, I'm not denying and saying that Esau not the white man, or Esau doesn't have any relatives of the so-called white man, but at the same time, Esau do got some black relatives too. I mean, come on now, we can't forget that. We have to really deal with it. And I keep telling people, they talking about the white man is the devil, black man the devil too. Anybody that's breaking God's commandments is a devil. So when we start looking at this, start dealing with it, and I start asking, okay, well, where was Esau in the garden? Esau wasn't in the garden then. So when you start talking and dealing with these perspectives, you better really understand what you're talking about and stop following this foolishness and leave these personal perspectives alone and deal with the Most High. Because Esau wasn't in the garden when Adam and Eve, when Eve was deceived and Adam went ahead and ate and he knew better. Esau wasn't that in. So let's really deal with this. Understand we're dealing with a spirit here, man. It's a spiritual thing. Yes, the spirit, there are going to be nations that will be used of the devil. And that's just like it's going to be those who are used of the Most High God. Let's really get a perspective and understand objectively and stop dealing with this foolishness. All right. Now, I'm going to deal with today because, okay, hey, Brother Antoine, I apologize, man. I didn't see it. I was sitting up trying to get ready for this lesson, man, and whatnot. But definitely we're going to get together. Am I clear? I want to make sure that I'm clear. Can everybody hear me? Everything good? Because we're definitely going to deal with this real quick. All right. I told y'all I'm going to be shortening and condensing these lessons and whatnot, for everybody, so it don't be so long. But sometimes it take really having to break these scriptures down and break down and what the Lord really want to tell us and want to deal with. I mean, he's really trying to get something into our beings and into our heart, man. You see what I'm saying? So Nathaniel confirmed your genius is wow. Hey, Brother Antoine, we'll definitely talk after the lesson. All right. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. We'll deal with that. All right. So let's really look at it and break it down, man, and get into these scriptures, man, because another thing too, before we get started, man, we got to be real careful with a lot of these books that we're dealing with. All right. Now, I got a lot of brothers, man, that are on my page. I got Christians. I got Hebrews. I got a lot of different people. I got some Islam. I got different folks on the page. And we got to be careful, man, with dealing with a lot of these books, man, because some of the books, man, have a lot of Jewish mysticism involved in them. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't original manuscripts or original copies of these books, but throughout, it being out there throughout generations and through the centuries, a lot of the books were destroyed, and a lot of them, they found different fragments. And then within the fragments of those books that they found, they only found a small portion of those books, and the rest of it that they built around the books were hearsay or what somebody heard growing up or what somebody heard or what somebody was taught. So we have to really understand that a lot of these books that we deal with, I always tell y'all, man, a book that didn't come in the original canon can be a secondary source, but you have to make sure that that secondary source lines up with the primary source, which is the Bible. If you have a 1611, you make sure that those books that are within there correlates with the 66, all right? Because the Lord isn't the author of confusion. He makes sure that it's clear in what he's doing and how he wants people to get an understanding. Now, you got a lot of books out here like Enoch. A lot of those, there's a lot of different versions of Enoch. So you need to make sure if you're going to be dealing with that, you better make sure that that book that you're dealing with is the correct one, because the devil is slick. He's cunning. He's put things out there. All right. He put things out there in different versions and different writings to confuse you. Also, the book of Jasher, the book of Jubilees. You better make sure that that is the correct one that you're dealing with and that it correlates with the scriptures. All right. Because it's a lot of different versions out here, and the enemy knows that we run into these different areas and these different things. And you need to make sure that these books do not contradict what the scriptures is actually saying. All right. Now, we're going to deal with this Esau and Ishmael thing right now. I'm going to come back and we're going to later on, I'm going to deal with this whole Genesis and creation process. I'm going to deal with that, but we want to get this off the table because I put this out there almost a month ago and whatnot. All right. Almost a couple of months ago. And so the thing is now when we begin to look at this, we need to make sure, because I threw out there and people start posting and asking all these questions or posted, yeah, the Esau, the Arab is Esau, Esau is the Arab and all this other stuff. So now this is the opportunity that the Most High God is saying, okay, now I want you to deal with it. This is a situation that just happened. Now let's get into this Manchester event. All right. That just recently happened. All right. Let's go.
22 dead, 59 wounded, many struggling for their lives right now in 8 different area hospitals in and around Manchester in England after the attack last night at the Ariana Grande concert at this huge concert hall. As the concert came to a close, explosion went off, suicide bomber was found. They've already made 1 arrest. I want to now bring in, by the way, ISIS has just taken responsibility for the attack. They say one of their members was the one who perpetrated this horrific crime, killing, we understand, sadly, children. Let's bring in now Milwaukee County Sheriff and a familiar face here on Fox News, David Clark. Sheriff Clark, we understand the DHS has responded. They have no credible reports here, but I imagine security is going to change in concerts for the foreseeable future. Am I correct?
Yeah, it has to. You know, this is...
All right, we're going to stop right there because I just want to show y'all that a little bit. I don't want to hear him talking with his own personal perspectives and all that other stuff and pointing fingers at this person. I don't want to hear all that. All right. Y'all don't need to even hear all that foolishness. I wanted to show y'all this is because, again, the Islamic State is taking credit. Now, there's been some situations that's going on where the Islamic State did not take credit. Now, we got a lot of people who are following or who are embracing the fact that Esau is the Arab based off Bedouin. I'm going to deal with Bedouin. All right. We're going to deal with Bedouin today because that's tripping a lot of brothers up. And a lot of people are going into that. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, man, Esau is. And we tend to forget. You have to use the entire volume of the scriptures. Don't just use an outside source, which is the Bible dictionary. I'm not saying that the Bible dictionary doesn't have solid information because I use it. But you have to put these pieces to the puzzle together. And to simply sit up there is you're going to run into a brick wall. Anytime you don't do complete and thorough research and something that sounds good, like I told y'all, sound good theology, don't mean it's sound theology. All right. Or sound good teaching don't mean it's good teaching. All right. People they get caught up in that things that sound good. It's a whole lot of things that sound good. Just like you have good ideas and you have God ideas. Good ideas don't mean that it's a God idea. The same way sound good theology or sound good teaching don't mean it's good teaching. All right. So we have to make sure that as a people who study this Bible and follow these scriptures, we have to make sure we get the complete understanding and not something that sound good and we run with it. All right. So I'm going to deal with this Bedouin thing. All right. And all the other stuff. So the Islamic State has come out and they said that they've taken credit for it. All of these bombings, all these suicide bombings, it's pretty much now their signature. You already know when the Islamic State is involved in something. All right. Because it's their signature. It's just like when it's pretty bad, but if somebody robs somebody for a pair of Jordans, you already kind of much know it's somebody black. I'm not trying to go at black people, but everybody has a signature now. Somebody walk up in the school in America and just shoot up the whole school. It's almost guaranteed it's a white person. It's just what it is. All right. I'm just stating facts here. I'm not being partial with anybody. I'm seeing that there are signatures throughout. Okay. You don't see too many black people getting involved with Enron scandals and all kind of, doggone, Wall Street scandals and all. We ain't into all that cyber warfare. We ain't doing all that kind of stuff. Where everybody got a signature in what they be doing. All right. That's just pretty much what it is. All right. So let's look at this now. Let's deal with this. Let's get this out the way. All right. So I already showed him. I don't want to look at him no more. Let's go ahead and get him out of the way. All right. So they've already taken, all right, and taking the blame for it. They say, hey, we the one did it. Y'all already know we the one did it. So let's look at the signature trait here. All right. Let's go to the book of Genesis. Let's go to the book of Genesis and let's look at the prophecies. I don't care what DNA says. I don't care what anybody says or any so-called scholar. At the end of the day, the prophecies is going to follow everybody. Everybody within the scriptures, that's how you know who is who based off the prophecies. I don't care because man can come up with all kind of systems and all kind of things to detour you off of the truth. So we have to rely on the gospels, rely on the prophecies in which the Most High spoke. Now let's look at the prophecies of Ishmael. All right. It's right here. Genesis 16:11. It says, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. Verse 12, and he will be a wild man. Okay, now, stop right there. This is a characteristic trait that Ishmael would have throughout his seed, throughout his generation. Every seed that he has is going to be a wild man. Remember, when Adam failed, sin came into the world through Adam. Everybody that came out of Adam, that sin seed was in them. So it carried all the way through until Christ came on the scene to bring us a form of redemption. It's the same thing with Ishmael. His seed is going to carry the wild man seed. They're going to always be wild. Everything they do is buck wild. All right. Everything they do. Check this out. Let's continue to read. Watch this. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man. Yo, come on, man. He's a wild man. Another characteristic trait. And not only that, he loves to fight. He loves to go and fight against every man. Everybody. The Arabs, look at every bombing that has taken place has been in a different nation or a different country against another people. All right. I don't care what. You can go all around the world. Every time it's a suicide bomber, all right, you're going to find Ishmael going to be involved in it. It's a part of him. That's what he does. He loves to fight. His characteristics and his DNA marker is a wild man and loves to fight everybody. He don't care if he got to kill himself. That's a wild man. Anybody that's wild and out of control. You ever seen somebody who fight and just swing wildly and throw hands wildly? Don't matter who they hit, long as they swing it. That's what Ishmael is. He loves to fight. He'll swing his and fight and punch with his eyes closed as long as he hits somebody because he loves to fight. He's going to be a wild man, and his hand will be against every man, and every man hand against his. How many countries and nations are right now in Palestine or in the Middle East fighting against Arabs? You got America over there. You got the Germans. You got the British. You got everybody that's a part of this whole NATO alliance and all these other nations. They all over there helping America try to fight the war on terror against Ishmael. All of them. It says right here. He says, and every man's hand against him. Not only is he going to be in fighting and starting fights, but everybody he's going to be fighting against is going to be fighting against him. Even other people that he ain't hit, they going to join other people to help try to fight against him. This is a part of when you start looking at the prophecies and breaking this thing down, it's very clear. It don't matter what land he migrated to. It don't matter what land he grew up in. His marker is going to be there. Its DNA marker and his attributes and characteristics is already been sealed about who he's going to be. So let's keep reading here. Watch this. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. You don't see the Arabs when they come to America or the Arabs in any country they go to. Guess what they do? They go find and be amongst their own people. They go find and be amongst their own people. That's what they do. Even in the land, even over there now, today in Palestine and all these other Islamic nations. You can go even to Russia. And they have sections of communities over there. They go right in there and move in and try to find out where their own people at. They dwell amongst their brothers. Even over there in the Middle East right now, in the so-called Middle East right now, or in Africa right now, they dwell amongst their own. They ain't trying to kick it with with the Jewish people. They're not trying to kick it with nobody else. And it's been like that ever since he got kicked out. Him and his mother got, I don't want to say kicked out, but that pretty much told to leave. And so ever since then, he been kicking it with his own people. That's just how it rolls. All right. Now, I know I still got other brothers out here and sisters going to be talking about, well, Badawin. Okay, I'm going to get to Badawin in a minute. All right. I just want to show you and build this case real quick. Now, let's deal with this whole, let's go over here to Psalms 83. Now, let me show you in Psalms 83 how Edom or Esau or Idumea cannot be the Arabs. Now, Psalms 83 pretty much shuts the door on all that madness. All right. Now, when you get over here to Psalms 83, let's look at Psalms 83 right here. All right. Let's go. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel should be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Now, in Psalms, finna name everybody who is involved in it. Now, by this time in the Psalms, by the time we get to Psalms, if Esau is the Arab, then it should be only one nation mentioned when it comes down to this. When you go to verse number 6, it mentions who all was against Israel. It says the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites. That is two different nations. Okay? The Edomites or Edom comes from Esau. The Ishmaelites or the Arabs, every Arab will tell you right now that they are descendants of Ishmael. Any Arab will tell you that. So why is it mentioned here in Psalms 83 verse number 6 that there are two different nations, Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes? Hagarenes are Hagar's children. So Hagar had other children as well. So Ishmael had his children. Hagar had her children. Esau got his children. You got three of them right here. Four different nations in verse number 6 alone by themselves. Edom and which is a separation, and the Ishmaelites and Moab. And every time I ask these brothers who pushing this Edom is the Arabs, I asked them, okay, brother, can you explain Psalms 83? Why does it mention two different nations who have joined together with the other nations to go against Israel? And you know what I get? They go right back to the Badawin. Oh, you got to go to the Badawin. Here it is. No, brother, explain to me. Explain to me. And we're going to get to the Badawin right here in a minute. But can you explain to me? I cannot get an answer to why that Edom and Esau are separated as two different nations in Psalms 83. You can't even get it. Nobody has anything to say. They always dance around it. And I was on Brother Daquan post, and they danced around it again. Everybody want to just dance and tap dance like Gregory Hines, God rest his soul, and all these other tap dancers. You might well put on tap dancing shoes because you can't answer it when it comes to Psalms 83. All right. Now you go keep reading down. You got the other nations in there too. All right. Tyre, which is the ancient Africans. They come out of Ham. You got all of these different nations that's in here, that's involved. Amalek, Ammon, all of them, the Philistines, all of them, the Syrians. You got everybody, all these children, all these nations in here going against Israel, but yet you telling me that the Arab is the Edomites. And yet right here, you got two different nations. And them the first two different nations. Why? Because them were the first two that mixed. That's why. And the Bible has it laid out perfectly that Edom is the ringleader, and Edom pretty much mixed with every nation that he got to join with them against the children of Israel. Remember, this is about Esau and Jacob. That's what this is about. Esau was still mad. And the only way he get back at Jacob is he try to get everybody to gang up on him and try to take him out. All right. Now, let's close this. Now, let's go to the attributes of Esau. Let's look at Esau. If we're going to say that Esau is the Arab, let's go to his attribute. We just went to Ishmael. Now let's go to Esau and see what Esau talking about. All right. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessed, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Now, mind you, Isaac already born. Ishmael has already been born. This is years after. All right. Remember that. Verse number 39. And Isaac, his father, answered. This is Isaac right here. His father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Oh, wait a minute. So now the father is prophesying about Esau's reign. Now, we just seen the attributes and the prophecy of the angel about what Ishmael going to be doing. Ishmael is fulfilling his prophecy. Ishmael is around here cutting up and acting a fool on everybody, just like it said he would. Now, Esau got a different one, kind of similar. All right. But let's look at this. Let's keep reading here. All right. Let's keep reading. It says, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. So Isaac is telling Esau, you're going to rule the entire earth. Can anybody show me an Arab that run the whole world? What Arab rule the whole earth? Can somebody show me one Arab that has dominated the entire world? I can name you Alexander the Greek. I can name you the Romans. I can name you even the dog. I can name you a couple different nations, and the Arabs not even mentioned. The Ishmaelites not even mentioned ruling the world or running the whole earth or having the fatness of the whole earth. Not one of them. Not one of them. There's not even everybody that runs the entire world are white folks. So to sit up here and say that the white man is an Arab, that's foolish. That makes no sense. Now let's keep reading here. Let's keep reading, man. All right. And by the sword thou shalt live. He says right here, he said, Isaac in verse number 39, he said, behold, thy dwelling, everywhere you're going to live is the whole earth. You're going to rule the whole earth. No Arab is doing that. Yeah, you got a couple rich Arabs over there in Saudi Arabia, but they ain't running the world. Come on, man. This stuff, I'm telling y'all, y'all better start doing some thorough homework and start doing some thorough breakdown and make sure the Spirit is revealing this stuff to you. Because you can read books all day long, but if you don't have the Spirit is what teaches you the mysteries of the Most High God and teach you how to break down Scripture. There's nothing can teach you how to break down Scripture. You can read books all day long. You can pull all kind of books out of your closet. And yet you still won't come into the understanding because the reading and the study of many books has no end. So you're going to be constantly always searching and buying books and finding books and using books. There's some things that the Spirit can give that no book can give you. I'm talking outside of the Bible. The Bible is the living word. It's spirit. It's alive. But you can have all these other books outside the Bible and yet have no understanding. Have zero understanding. It sounds good. And that's why I'm always challenging y'all. When you throw out a post, I always come back with a question from the opposite perspective to make sure that you're just not going by the book and that the Spirit is revealing this to you. That's why I'm always coming after behind you. Are you sure? Is that what that says? Does that really what that mean? Because I want to make sure there are wolves out here that's going to constantly go after you. And when you post and make a statement, you need to make sure it's coming from the Spirit and not just to be right. That's another problem. Brothers be posting and be commenting so fast just to be right that the Spirit, they're not letting the Spirit teach them or reveal it to them. You need to make sure the Spirit is revealing to you, because you can read something and process it with your carnal mind as that what it's saying. But spiritually, that's not what the Bible means. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. The difference between what your mind says is correct than what the Spirit actually saying that's what that means. And so we got to step our game up, change our way of thinking. We have to grow spiritually. That's why I keep talking to y'all about growing spiritually more than just studying the books. The books are fine. I'm not against the books. But how much prayer time and fasting time, how much time are you doing spending with God so that he can reveal these things to you? And that's why I'm always, because it's the Spirit that is behind me, to challenging you, because the Lord knows what's coming on the earth. And the Lord knows all these philosophies out here, and they are in our book constantly, trying to trip us up and find loopholes to make our God look lawless, to try to make our God look wrong, look contradicting in all these things. That's why I'm always pushing you so hard. Because I know what's coming and I know what's out here. And I want y'all to be prepared for this stuff. All right, now let's keep rolling here. Here we go. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, verse number 39, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of the heaven from above. So the Lord said, look, not only is your dwelling going to be the fatness of the earth, but even and the dews of the heaven from above, you're gonna even have access or be ruling the heavens of the earth. I mean the dew of heaven, meaning in the skies. All right, not up there where the Most High is, but in the skies where the birds dwell, all up there in the space, all these different areas on the ground and in the sky. Ain't no Arab going in no doggone. Can anybody show me the Arabs spending money on a space system? I mean, come on, man. This stuff is so basic and fundamental. But again, if you don't let the Spirit reveal this to you, these are simple understandings. Ain't no Arab up there, all up there in space launching every time, launching from the Kennedy Space Center and all these other space centers. Can anybody show me a astronaut space system in the Middle East? No, they might have some kind of nuclear weapons or some kind of Scud missiles or something that they're shooting off in the sky to blow something up because they hand against every man. They're not going all up in there in the dews of the heaven, all up in there with the stars at trying to discover Mars. Ain't no Arabs doing that. Come on, man. They need to stop this stuff, man. They really need to stop this madness, because that's what it is. It's a bunch of madness. Okay. If you want to even believe that stuff. All right. Now let's keep reading here. Let's see, verse number 40. And by the sword shalt thou live. Come on. This stuff, this really, brothers and sisters, this is really simple. Okay. You don't see no Arabs. Yeah, the Arabs back in the day, the Arabs, back in the time, in the ancient time, they had swords and all that kind of stuff. But also even the Europeans too. they had swords too. It was a common thing. All right. I'm pretty sure some of the folks of Israel, some of the brothers in Israel, they had swords too when they was fighting other nations. They weren't out there fighting with guns. Everybody, it was a common thing to have a sword. So to even try to say that, oh, the Arabs, they fight with the sword. That's their signature. They love the sword. Well, everybody had a sword. Alexander had one. The Romans had, I'm pretty sure Herod and all them other ones had swords too. It was a common thing that all empires had swords and axes and all kind of blacksmithing and all that kind of stuff. Don't try to use the sword as trying to say that means that they're the Arabs. That don't make sense. All right, now let's keep reading here, y'all. All right, let's see, verse number 40. And by the sword thou shalt live and shalt serve thy brother. We already know that Esau, at one point in time, all right, Edomites were under Israel until you get to the book of Kings. And that's when they came from under Israel. And that's when they started ruling. All right, but that's a whole nother lesson. I'll get into that later. And it shall come to pass, future proclamation, when thou shalt have dominion. When you come from under your brother Esau, you're going to have dominion for a span of time. That thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right. Verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. This is about Esau and Jacob. Remember, Jacob's name later became Israel. Then when you get to Psalms chapter 83, Esau gets all the nations together and say, come, let us cut the name of Israel off. Because he still was mad. All right. Through his generations, he passed it down to his seeds to hate Israel. So he passed it down to his children and their children passed it down. Don't deal with them. Don't deal with them Israelites. Don't deal with them. All right. Our father, ever since our father, we don't deal with them. So that's when you start looking at, so that's why Psalms 83 comes into play. And that's why it's two different nations mentioned with Edom and Esau. I'm sorry, with Esau, with Edom and Ishmael, because both of them, all right, Ishmael then wasn't tripping. They weren't tripping on the Israelites. It was Esau that was tripping and still mad and got everybody else together to go against Israel. Now, let's see here. We're going to end right there. All right. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 21, because I'm going to show you something here. All right. All right. Matter of fact, let's go here. Let's deal with this Bedouin thing. All right. Now look, Bedouin. All right. We're going to deal with Bedouin right here. This is the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition. All right. Right here. A nomadic Arab of the Arabian, Syrian, all right, or North African desert. Come on, man. Wait a minute. See, that's what I'm talking about. This is dealing with a landmass and a people who live in that landmass. This is not dealing with a nationality. All right. Esau and the Edomites, that's a nationality, just like the Israelites is a nationality. But Bedouin is a landmass. All right. And the people who live there are Bedouin people because it's a desert. All right. Now let's keep rolling here. Let's keep rolling, because this is the stuff I'll be talking about. All right. Let's keep reading here. A nomadic Arab or Arabian, Syrian, or Northern African desert. All right. That's what this is, the foundation right here. If I can highlight it. My line, internet tripping. All right, but it's right here. Y'all see what I'm getting at. Not only is it dealing with, it gives you an entire breakdown. It's telling you even the Arab or Arabian, Syrian, or Northern African desert. All right. Now, let's go here. We're going to go over to Genesis. Now, we just was over in Genesis 27, where Esau came on the scene. Now, let's see. All right. Let's see If Esau is the Arab, then let's see that means that Ishmael shouldn't be dwelling in no desert. But Ishmael predates or was born before, because we know that Bedouin is a desert. It's a landmass. All right. We know that it's a desert. All right. It's an Arabian, Syrian, and North African desert. So let's see here. Let's go to Genesis chapter 21 and let's deal with Ishmael before Esau is even born. All right. Let's go here. Genesis 21:8. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian. I'm not ignoring Esau's location, my brother. And shalom to you as well. I'm not ignoring his location. Trust me on that. And I'm pretty sure what you're pulling it from the Zonovan, right? Let's keep rolling. I don't know how long you've been on, but I hope you've been on since the beginning. Let's keep reading here. Verse number 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham. Going over Abraham. Brother, I'll get to it, brother. Just chill out for a second. I'm trying, let me be respectful, be in character, brother. Let me finish teaching and making the point. All right. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman in all that Sarah hath. All right, let's go down here. Let's see. Let me go down. Go down to verse number 13. And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation. All right, because he is thy seed. Verse 14. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, all right, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, all right, and the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of her shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. All right, because they're out there in the desert. Let's keep rolling here. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard a voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of the heaven and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and behold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with the water and gave it to the lad to drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became a archer. So they're out there in the desert. All right. Now we just looked right here at the definition of the Merriam's, all right, Webster's dictionary. And here it is right here. A nomadic Arab of Arabian, Syrian, and Northern African desert. Why? Because that's what the wilderness is at that particular time. Even when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, they were in the so-called wilderness. Now, this is before Esau was even born. All right. Now, when you go over here to Genesis, all right, so let me get over here. Let me go to another source right here. Let's look at this. Break it down right here. All right. The elder Esau, the eldest son of Isaac and the twin brother of Jacob. The singular appearance of the child at his birth originated the name Genesis 25 and 25. Esau, robust frame and rough aspect were the types of wild and daring nature. He was a thorough Bedouin, a son of the desert. This is not a nation. It's a landmass, meaning that he was a thorough Bedouin because he was a son of the desert. The same way as Ishmael is out there in the desert. The same way the children of Israel is out there in the desert. The Bedouin, the understanding of the Bedouin is a desert people. People who dwell in the desert in that landmass. That's exactly what the scriptures is talking about. And when brothers go to the Zondervan dictionary, they use that as a form of trying to say that Esau is the Arab, when in fact, Bedouin is just dealing with a landmass. Now, let me pull up a chart here real quick. All right. Let me put up another thing right here. And then I'll get to the chart. All right. Let's see this here. All right, now let's look at this. All right. Edomites, descendants of Esau, Genesis 36, 1 through 17. All right, mentioned in a Ugaritic tablets of Ras Shamra. All right, in the legend of King Karet, right here. When you go down here to the third point, Egyptian records from the late 13th century BC mentions Bedouin tribesmen of Edom. Why? Because Esau mixed with the Arabs. Esau mixed with Ishmael, so therefore his seed mixed. And so you see here, you mentioned the Bedouin tribesmen of Edom. These tribesmen are of Edom. They are desert people of Edom, who were permitted to enter Egypt for food during a famine. Now, let's go down here to the next chart. Let's go down to the next chart, man. All right. Let's deal with this. Bedouin is a landmass. It's not a nationality. And that's where cats mix it up. It's no different than we came over here to America from Africa, and yet that we might as well say we're American, which that's not our nationality. That's a nationality we put down on paper, but our blood nationality is Israel. It's not of doggone America. So no matter where you dwell at and what landmass you dwell in, that don't make that's your nationality by blood. It's just that you decided to move from that place and move to another landmass. All right. Now let's go to the next, man. Let's look at this real quick. All right, check this out. Look at this. Hagar, all right, here it is right here. So you see right here clearly on this chart, you see a family tree, okay? Before Esau was even born, the Bedouins or the landmass of Bedouin was already there because it was established by Ishmael in that particular area. Then you had Esau born, and he goes over in Genesis and mixed with Ishmael's seed. That's why you had that's why you had the descendants of Edom in the lands of the Bedouins, because he mixed and he left seed there and children there. All right, it's a landmass, brothers and sisters. All right, we have to remember that and understand that. Right here, look at this. Here's the other part of the chart. Right there. This is how that works. All right. I pray that you cannot eat without eating from the word of God. For man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. I pray that you cannot drink without drinking from the living waters that flows from Christ. Let the light that is within you shine bright outside of you. And remember to love one another so that the world may know that we serve the true and living God. Study to show yourself approved, brothers and sisters, and continue to grow. All right. This is not a particular lesson to say that Esau is just the white man, or Esau is just a black man. Esau has mixed his seed amongst many nations and have dwelt in many lands. So we got to get this understood, man, before we try to start going around here talking all this craziness and stuff like that and trying to minimize what Esau's done to one geographical people or one bloodline, which he mixed and he dwelt in many lands. All right, because it said, why? Because in Genesis, Isaac prophesied to him and said that he will rule the lands. He will rule that he would have his landmass or his people, or his descendants, or him would be throughout the land. All right, throughout the different lands. All right, so let's keep rolling here, man. Shalom, y'all.